your social circles a little bit,
Mm.
and you start to see some of it's real, some of it's perceived, but you start to see some sorting, if you will, of who's going to side with you and who's not. Grounds may be, but I think it often these statistics often play out more in the conservative religious homes because, you know, you can look at the Trevor Project, which is a great resource for support and for statistics on LGBTQ plus youth matters. But um, there, for an LGBTQ plus child who does not have an affirming parent at home,
Mm.
um, you know, they have a tremendous, like, it's like it is an astounding number of times more likely that they're going to attempt, you know, make an attempt on their life,
Yes.
or tiptoe towards that in some way. That's not something that's readily apparent at the moment for a parent,
Right.
when that's happening, especially when you consider just, I would say that the viewpoints or the positions that we found ourselves most comfortable in at that
Mm.
time.
Yeah.
I
What is the one thing that surprised you the most?
It's a great question. I would say the beauty on the other side,
Hmm.
because, you know, as unfamiliar, as intimidated, as concerned, as worried, as hurt and grieving I was, and my wife was, we would both agree that there's so much beauty to be found that you can't see when you're blinded
Yeah.
by other. So the transformative encounter was a big term that in, that was a it kind of moved the needle for us, especially given some of the authority and the weight behind Dr. Gushy's words. Again, he'll be on my podcast in probably episode 4, which will probably come out in January. Um, but his and story, you know, there's again on the Trevor Project, you'll see the statistical evidence that shows, you know, when a family is affirming of the identity of the child rather than, you know, constantly being negative about it, trying to manipulate them away from it, trying to pray the gay away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those statistics really, you know, become a little bit closer to normal life, if you will. And we had to learn that the hard way, unfortunately. In fact,
Yeah.
you know, mental health became such a factor in our house that one of the one of the outcomes of this, besides the podcast, was my wife, who, you know, is a physician associate. You know, she was a family practice kind of specialty at the time, but as we were kind of coming out of the dust of this renovation, she chose to take her specialty. She worked for a year to learn how to become a psychiatric PA, and so now she sees, you know, she sees patients on a semi-daily basis, you know, with mental health challenges of various sorts. But she's she's become known as a very affirming, you know, LGBTQ plus friendly care provider, and that shows in her clientele list. You know, not that I get to see that, but you know, you kind of get to hear, hey, generally speaking, wow, you wouldn't believe, you know, the kinds of stories that are coming from this. So
Yeah.
um, that's how we've activated on the love, I would say, or at least that's how we've responded from what we've learned on how to activate on the love. But we see how important it is, and we've come to understand.
But it is part of a beautiful journey. So
Mhm.
there's this paragraph that really touched me in which you said, for more than 2 decades, my professional life evolved around building, first as a home builder, then as a developer of office and retail communities. I thought my work was about houses and buildings, but in hindsight, I see it was teaching me something bigger, how blueprints can change, how structures can be torn down and rebuilt, and how even the strongest foundations can be reimagined. When we talk about faith, that's faith in itself, to be able to come out to somebody about who you are. What is the right way or the wrong way in responding when a child or a teenager in your situation
An
decides to
excellent
come?
question. because that's something we've pondered for a long time, my wife and I. Something that I'm seeing more and more of, seeing scenarios where people have responded in different ways, and I'm seeing trends, to the point of your question. Um, the one the one answer I gave a friend of mine who asked me this about his child, I said, I just right off the tip of my tongue was, be soft. Don't respond harshly.
Mm,
Um, this is a moment. This is one of those moments that neither one of you is ever going to forget.
yes.
And how you respond is going to set the tone for both of you in moving forward. And I sure as heck would not want to be behind, having to play catch up because my response was not what
Yeah.
it should have been. Um, the second is big theme here: don't delay.
Mm,
A lot of parents, us included, think the smart play is to, well, let's just see if this is a phase. Let's just like
mm,
let's not freak out here, but let's not, you know, oh wait, she's bringing a rainbow, she's putting a rainbow in the room, and now all of a sudden we got to take a stance. It's like there's that kind of tension there, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
so that came from us not being willing or ready, understandably, to do some work on this topic. Now, we didn't know what work to do yet, and that's part of what I'm trying to resolve with this podcast, right? Because in our circles, our church didn't offer anything. There was no small group, despite being a small group for three other thousand life situations. Good hug. And I told her, I was like, hey, we'll work through this.
Yeah.
Doesn't change how I love you. Um, I feel like, we said all the right things. It's just that how that plays out afterwards sometimes is where when the challenge starts to kick in, when you
Yeah.
start to realize, oh my God, this is changing my child's life. She has a very frank conversation with me about the fact that she knows for a fact that she is in fact attracted to females and not males. And
Mm,
that was something that, that was her coming out, if you will, in the conversation that she had with me. Um, and so what that's resulted in was really a 7-year period of I call it the renovation, but it was a lot of wrestling, a lot of struggling, a
mm.
lot of relearning after unlearning.